Joining us now live on SuperTalk TV and live on the air on your SuperTalk station, Senator Jeremy England, the Vice Chairman of the Economic Development House Committee. Senator, how you doing this morning?
Hey, doing good, Dave. How are you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good so far. You're all dressed up and ready for the day. I see that. Very nice.
That's right. You know, we're on a earlier time zone down here on the coast than the rest of Mississippi, so I had to get up really early this morning.
Well, hopefully you went to bed early or late last night.
That's right.
That would be my hope.
Anyway.
I
definitely made that.
Now, Senator Blackwell and a team of several helpers managed to dolly in the printed out version of the medical marijuana bill yesterday. That thing is enormous. I think it's 277 pages. Have you had a chance to read it yet?
Dave, I haven't read the whole thing, but I've looked over it. And I will say, look, it got bigger, but Senator Blackwell had to bring a bunch of codes forward to make sure that we're handling this thing properly and that we're going to be able to hit every area of the law that we need to hit.
Well, the part he said is about 100 pages of it is the actual bill itself without the code sections. Out of that 100 pages, what you've looked over and what you've seen, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think about this?
Look, Dave, I've talked with Senator Blackwell, and I've listened to everything that Representative Yancey has said on the House. I think they've done a fantastic job. I think that we've got a good conservative piece of legislation. I've talked to other folks just in and around the Capitol and in other places that agree that we have probably one of the most conservative, if not the most conservative, bill for medical marijuana out there now. And I like to hear that. I'm glad to hear that kind of thing, and I think they've worked really hard on it. I think we've got a good piece of legislation. We've got an agreement, and if the governor calls us back, we'll be ready to hit the ground running and get this thing passed.
Well, and talking about that, have you heard anything about the possibility of a special session for this?
You know, I've heard rumors, and the rumors go both ways. So I'm not really sure. Of course, that's out of our hands. That's completely in the governor's hands. I know he still has some concerns that he's looking at. But from our end, I've talked to Senator Blackwell. I know that he's ready to go. I know that he was tasked with coming up with an agreement with the other side of the hall. So he got with Representative Yancey. They have a bill, or I should say we all have a bill that we're ready to move forward on. So if the governor calls us back, we'll go to work.
Well, any kind of bill like this involves a lot of compromise. Is there anything in the bill as it sits right now that if you had your druthers, you would change?
You know, not at this time, Dave. I don't think. Look, I've looked at it, and to say I've looked at it, I've perused it. I've gotten a quick summary of what we have in the bill. There were a few things that I was looking at that I know my constituents in District 51 were concerned about. You know, we hear of edibles and you hear of gummy bears, and anytime you hear that, look, I'm a father. I don't want this to be geared towards attracting children to this medical marijuana program, right? We want it to be a medicinal issue. We want it to be, you know, directed towards people with you know, really bad chronic issues that they can get help from this program. And I know that that's taken care of in this bill. There are not going to be any, you know, you can't have animal shapes to things like this. You know, I hope that we have some provision in there where we don't see this advertised, you know, like we see CBD and different things like that right now. I don't want this to become a mainstream, you know, thing that you can go buy in a gas station. And I think we've got a bill that takes care of that. This is going to be a purely medicinal program, which is what the people of Mississippi want. And we look, I can't say enough about how the hard work that Senator Blackwell and that Representative Yancey put into this to make sure that we've got a good medicinal marijuana program.
Now, one thing that some people are talking about is the fact that this bill, they did work it in. That's one of the things that was changed to limit the THC content. I think they dropped it down 20% below what it was, which is one of the things that makes this bill stand out and shows a difference between this and the law in other states that have legalized a medical marijuana program. Some people are concerned that, you know, if you start dropping it, well, what's the point at that point in the process to even having the program, while others are saying, oh, no, we need to drop it lower. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Dave, I'll say this that I do know for a fact: we're not the lowest THC state in the union, and this is a program. Look, other states have tried this; they put forward medicinal marijuana programs, and we're not the lowest. We're among the lowest, but we're not the lowest. So we still have. We wanted to make sure that doctors and patients had the ability to look at, just like you said, to have this as a treatment option. We didn't want the level to get lowered to a point where it's not a viable treatment option for people with terminal cancer or with horrible chronic issues. We want them to be able to get help from this program. But we were able to draw from a lot of our sister states and states, as far away as Colorado and Vermont to look at our system to put it together. I think we've got we've got a good conservative medicinal marijuana program. And Dave, let me say this too. This is a program that we're just now starting to get into, and as a conservative, we're writing a law and writing into law a new system here. It's good for us to sort of dip our toes in the water here at first and see where we can go with this moving forward. And I like that idea. I've been a proponent of that for a long time. I didn't want to have a wide-ranging, open this up as far as we could right off the bat. As far as THC levels and availability goes. And I think we've got a good system that we're going to be able to work with moving forward, and we're not jumping straight into the deep end here.
Now, we are less than 3 months away from the 2022 session getting started, which sounds weird when you say it, but we are. We're less than 3 months away in January. And the entire medical marijuana bill came about because of an existing flaw in the initiative process that did away with the Initiative 65 that was voted on by the people. In the upcoming session, do you see any problems with dealing with that initiative process? Are we going to be able to work something out on that?
Well, Dave, I think, I can say very clearly that we need to fix the initiative process. We need to give people the option to directly petition and to directly put things into law. It's a constitutional deal that we have here in Mississippi. Now, what we'll see that look like, I'm not sure we'll see it look like a constitutional amendment that goes directly into the Constitution. We may see an initiative process that allows for statutes to be amended or to be placed into law. And I think that still covers the intent of what we have without putting Mississippi into a situation where we see big corporations and big lobbying groups throwing money at our initiative process because they can go out and then convince the public to vote for something to put it directly into our Constitution. As a constitutional conservative, I think our Constitution needs to be a framework that we operate within, and I think we need to do the same with our initiative process where we can go back in and look at things. Look, just like this program, like I said, we don't want to jump into the deep end on anything. We want to be able to make changes and make sure that we're doing best for the people of Mississippi and for our state as a whole. Long story short, yes, I think we'll definitely be working on that. We want to get something done on that. I'm not sure exactly what it'll look like at the end of the day.
Now, aside from that, what else is on your radar for the upcoming regular session? Anything stand out as something that really needs to have a lot of attention focused on it?
Yeah, Dave. Look, there's a lot of things. Of course, look, we've got redistricting. That's gonna take a lot of the air out of the room going in. We want to make sure that we get good districts drawn across Mississippi. I know we've got a great team working on that all across the board. But look, Dave, we've got things like a nursing shortage crisis here in Mississippi. We're also gearing up to have more schools have better CTE programs, which is career training. We want to make sure that Mississippi is able to attract jobs because we have the best workforce in America. And we want to make sure that we continue doing that. And there's some other things that I'm looking at. Look, I've dropped the last couple of years a bill that would create a list for people that steal public funds. I think we ought to have a list of those people available. I think we ought to call those folks out and make sure that those folks aren't leaving one department or one agency and going to another when they've already proven themselves to not be trustworthy with our public funds. And look, I see every day, it seems like I look at the news and our state auditors caught more and more people misusing state funds, and we've got to stop doing that. So that's an idea that I have that I'd like to see advance as well.
I think a lot of people would be behind that kind of movement because, as you said, Shad White's office Just about every day, we've got another report of somebody else that they have caught mishandling public funds. We got to deal with that. We just have to. Well,
that's right. Nothing worse than a thief, Dave.
About 2.5 months, and then things get into gear, but you guys are busy already, especially with this special session. It's not in your hands. I realize that. If you had to put $5 down, would you say we're going to have a special session or not?
Well, I'm not much of a gambling man because I'm not very lucky when it comes to that. But I wouldn't put it down. I don't think, Dave. Look, we're just over 60 days away. And look, this is an honor of my life to go to serve the people of District 51. I'm ready to go to work every day for them. So if we get called back, I'm ready to do it. But if not, we'll hit the ground running the first part of January, and we'll get things